So my family of non-board gamers have 3 go-to games that they like to play during all our family gatherings: Charades, Pictionary, and Categories. And frankly, I'm overplaying these. So in my journey to find a game no matter the situation, I'm trying to find alternatives for these. So let's dive into that.
What can I play?
So not knowing where to start myself, I asked the BGG group on Facebook for their recommendations, and they gave me a whole bunch of recommendations. And so I trawled through all of them and picked out a game in each category, so Categories, Charades, and Pictionary, that I think my family would like. I went and purchased them, but I also wanted to find a free game in each one of those categories in case I forget the board games at home and we can play something similar. So the rest of this video, I'm going to be going through each one of those categories and showing you which ones we picked and played and what I thought of them. So the first category is Charades. It's really hard to mention the word charades in any board game group without an overwhelming recommendation for the game Monikers. It had 14% of the recommendations in total, and I can see why after playing it. For the uninitiated, Monikers starts by dealing out a number of cards to each player. Each card has a wacky character or something on it which you'll be guessing over 3 varying rounds. After each player has selected a selection of cards for the game, each person's selection gets shuffled up into one mega deck of around 40 plus cards. You then take turns in 1-minute increments and can form a team of 2 if you like, or work cooperatively to get people guessing your card using anything to describe it, even the description itself. You just can't say the word that it is.
A painter that throws painting on canvases.
Abstract?
No.
He's
An abstract expressionist painter known for his drip paintings.
Yes, Jackson Pollock.
Yes.
Once your time is up, the remaining of the deck gets passed along, and this continues until the deck is complete. The beauty of this design is the same 40-ish cards get used for the next 2 rounds, which those rounds increase in difficulty. So in round 2, you only can say one word.
Dance.
From
Good work. Dragons.
Dungeon Master.
Good job.
And in round 3, you can only act it out like charades. However, sound effects are allowed.
Kobayashi. Hamilton. And then we go Miranda.
The design is brilliant as you simultaneously learn the selection of pool of cards at the same time as you get rounds that get harder. It ends in laughter as you come up with simple, effective forms of communication to have the rest of the players guessing. Unlike charades, everyone has the same information at hand, where charades typically requires knowledge beyond the scope of the game. So I really liked Monikers. It got my family laughing, got me laughing, and it's one of those go-to games that I can see myself bringing to our family gatherings for years to come. It's really fun, it's really simple, and if you are a fan of charades, and sometimes the thing that I don't like about charades is I don't typically know the movie or the book because there's things that I just don't know. With Monikers, the game is designed so everyone learns what the clues are, at least by round 2, and then everyone's on the same drawing board. So it's really fun, and it gets crazily chaotic as well. This brings me on to the free version. You could totally play Monikers by just writing down characters and cards and random things on pieces of paper for people to act out and guess, and then shuffling them all up and then play Monikers the simpler way. However, that might require a little bit of time and setup. But if all you have is just yourselves and you really want to play charades, and charades, maybe you're already into a couple of rounds of charades, I highly suggest playing reverse charades. And it's just that. Instead of one person acting and many guessing, it's many people acting and one person guessing. What makes this a little bit more fun is that the people that are all acting together can kind of use each other to act, and they can bounce ideas off each other while there's only one person that is guessing. So it doesn't make you feel like a goofball where you're the only one doing all the acting and you kind of all goofballs together. Overall, both these games are a spin-off to a classic, Charades, and I'm very grateful to have found them and played them and experienced them because I know I'll be playing them with my family and friends for years to come. And I hope you will as well. Right, so now on to Pictionary. Now this game is very different to Pictionary, but it is a drawing and guessing game. When I first read about it, I really had to purchase it because I thought my family would really like it, and so would I. The main difference is rather than doing one topic per round and taking turns both guessing what you're drawing, you're doing the same topic over multiple rounds. The game is Last Message. Thematically, it's set up where there's the investigators, the culprit, and the victim. The culprit picks a character from this Where's Wally crazy character board full of characters that is going to be the killer, and the victim is the only person that is aware of who the killer is. And the only way they can communicate to the investigators is by drawing clues. They draw these clues over a 9-grid whiteboard, and they pass these clues over to the investigators after each round. But here's the catch. Before passing them over, the culprit is allowed to rub out a certain amount of squares per round, starting in round 1 with 5, and then 4, 3, and 2. If the investigators are successful in guessing the right character before 4 rounds is up, the victim and the investigators win. Otherwise, the culprit wins. This game I think is an instant classic amongst my family, as every single role is different and it's a different puzzle to be solved. Like, how do I draw with using up as much space as possible? Or how do I remove the most important parts of the drawing to make sure the investigators have the least? And then ultimately, the investigators have to piece all those clues together and work out who the character is. While some roles are a little bit more laid back, like the culprit only having to rub out squares each turn, it does allow for different age groups to get involved. My son Ethan loves playing the culprit because he gets to rub out our drawings and then leaves our investigators with a random set of clues that they have to guess. It adds for a different play style and it gets everyone involved, as well as the investigators. You can just have my dad popping around, having a look, and people just going over people's shoulders, dipping in and dipping out. It's really fun to just set up, have a few dedicated players and the rest of the family dipping in and out. It's definitely something that I think my family and friends will love to keep playing for years to come. Now, onto the free version. Now this game is got a weird name. It's called Eat Poop You Cat. I think it's just got a weird name because that's what the game is all about. Hilarity is definitely to ensure. If you ever played any game like Telestrations or Gartic Phone, which were also very highly recommended in this list, it plays very similar, except all it needs is a paper and a pen. You can also have multiple papers on the go to make sure everyone's doing something at any given time. The way the game works is, in the first round, everyone will write down a random prompt, like a unicorn flying over a bridge. Something like that, something a bit random. That prompt then gets handed over to the next person. They then have to draw that prompt. And then after they have drawn that prompt, and within the allotted time that you want to set up, let's say a minute, you then fold over the first prompt, which was a unicorn flying over a bridge. The paper then gets handed around to the next player, and all they have is now the drawing that the last player drew. They then have to guess what is it that they drew. They then write down their clue, and then you repeat this each and every round, folding the drawing, then folding the clue, folding the drawing, and folding the clue, until that one piece of paper has gone around everyone playing, and then you then get to look at everything. And I guess that's where the fun is. There's no winner or loser. You just get to look at the hilarity that you collective minds have all come up with. And my God, it is hilarious. Highly recommend. Definitely good for most ages and a lot of fun. So both these games are great games to keep up your sleeve. One requires just a pen and paper that you can bring out at any point in time and just have some fun with any amount of players you want. And then the other one, obviously a little bit more setup and can sit after the dinner table and be played slowly throughout the night. Highly recommend both these games and checking them out. And in the last category, we have categories. And in the paid version for this category, we've got a classic Just One. If you haven't played Just One, it's a very simple game. And compared to categories from the beginning, the reason why I like it, it's a cooperative game. The way it works is one player selects a word from a card and shows everyone besides the guesser. Each player has to write down just one word to describe or allude to the chosen word. Once everyone has written down a word, you compare words amongst the table. If any words are similar at the same, you remove them, and then the remaining of the words are showed to the guesser for them to guess. You do this 13 times, you add up the amount of correct, and that is your score. It's as simple as that. It is so simple, you can have endless mindless chats while you're playing this game, and it leads to some obscure situations with some really random out there clues because you try to write down clues that other people won't write. I highly recommend this game and I'm glad it was purchased, and I can see why over 16% of people recommended this game for me to try. Lastly, the free version in this categories game is a very simple game, but there is one downside to it. It's for mainly 2 players. You could probably get away with having some bespoke rules for more players, but it does get a bit tricky. The game is say the same thing. Anyway, the way the game works is you count down to 3, and at the same time, you say a random word. Let's say ball, and the other player says phone. From those two words, now you have to find a word that is associated between both of those, and then you both say them on the count of 3. In this next example, someone associates hold and play because they associated hold with holding a ball and holding a phone, and play with playing on your phone and playing a ball. You then have to come up with another word. You keep doing this until you say the same thing. In the third round, on the count of 3, you both end up saying controller, and that is say the same thing. It's very simple, but it is hilarious on how long some of these games can go on. It's also just a great ice-breaking game, and just to get people in the mood of playing a game. You can play it at any time and doesn't require anything. Just let's say, hey, do you want to play say the same thing? 3, 2, 1, and you're off. Well, there you have it. These are 6 new games to me, and hopefully some of them to you to try this holiday season. I highly recommend you dabbling in some of these, especially if you have a non-board game family like myself, because some of these games I promise you will be a hit amongst the family. A quick thank you to all my friends and family for helping me playtest these, as I genuinely did not play any of these 6 games prior to this video, and it's been such a blast trying to make this video. However, took a bit of time because I had to play quite a few games that I've never played before, and I'm very grateful for that. If you enjoyed this video and found it at all useful, and you want to see me make more videos using data and come along the journey of me trying to find games to play no matter the situation, hit subscribe, and I promise you, you'll find something that you'll like along the journey with me, as I am. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one, and as always, keep on playing.
A cop that's actually a stripper.
A jewel.
Dueling.
Yeah.
Horse whisperer. Oh, wild.